Hi, I'm Charlie, and this is Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders. Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders is available both as a podcast, wherever you get great podcasts, and on video on our YouTube channel, Cooking Secrets for Men. So today, I'm very pleased to have as my guest, Lynnea Katz-Petted.
Thanks for having me. It's a
Good
pleasure
to see
to
you.
be here.
See you. So Lynnea and I have the same job in that we're both retired. Except you retired from a job that was, fairly meaningful to our community. Revitalize Milwaukee, you're the CEO there. And so thank you. Since retired about 6 months ago?
Actually only 3 months ago.
3 months ago.
Yeah.
Started about 3 months ago. And you've got several awards that I am aware of as a Women of Influence from the Milwaukee Business Journal.
Correct.
And a Frank Kilpatrick Award from the Greater Milwaukee Foundation. I was there when you got that award. So we'll get to Revitalize Milwaukee in a little bit, but let's start where we usually start. So your story is both unique, but it's no different than many people's, in that you overcome a lot of adversity, you overcome things that have cropped up in your life to not only succeed, but be able to work and make a difference in the community. So, but the unique part starts, you were born in Canada.
I was, yeah.
And lived for the most part, were you born in Vancouver?
I was actually born in Calgary.
Born in Calgary, but lived in Vancouver most of your life.
Correct,
Or most of your growing up years.
My adult life, yeah.
So the first step towards Revitalize Milwaukee probably starts when you were homeless. Your parents lost their house, and you had to live in public housing. So talk about your early years and how that set the stage and became the first step towards wanting to help others.
Well, I think there was a couple things that were involved in there. My parents were very generous, regardless of the situations we were in. And then in addition to, having to go through some of the challenges of housing was pretty eye-opening. And we had a beautiful home. We had I didn't want for anything.
Right.
And then, things changed quite dramatically. And I have to give it to my mother for teaching me a lot of the skills that I have in resiliency, and then also showing up as your best self every day, and regardless of what's happening around you, operate with integrity and ethics. And so it was a rude awakening walking out of the door the first time and realizing where I was and what was happening, but it never changed. I was never that person to be showy or, needing fine things, but I certainly liked them. But
Sure.
It just empowered me, and I got to know so many people. And through that, I realized, and many other experiences, that we're all the same. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter where you live. We're all the same, and we all want to be loved. We all want to be cared for. We all want to be respected. And we all want to have family. And I've always volunteered as a very young age. I first started off as a board chair for B'nai B'rith organization when I was 16, and then I also got involved while I was in this public housing. There was a nursing home right around the corner, and for some reason I was just drawn to go there. And I just that experience changed me forever in terms of understanding the wisdom of people, and it was probably one of the most heartbreaking experiences too.
Sure. So eventually you make your way to Milwaukee. You end up going to Alverno College, south side here, and got your degree. So talk a little bit about your college years and what you started to do after graduating and where that led you.
So my college years actually started back in Vancouver, because I left home actually shortly after I was 16, and I never went back. And so when I left, I was trying to go to school. I worked night school or night shift, and went to school, high school during the day, and then I tried to do college after that. And then shortly thereafter, when I moved to Washington, D.C., I continued, went to George Washington University. So by the time I got here...
GWU, as we call it.
Yeah, exactly. it was a great experience there too. And when I got here, I really, I was the first person at Alverno to get work experience for something else, like in credit for classes.
Wow.
It took me about 8 months and a lot of work put into it to demonstrate, because that's all about, Alverno is to demonstrate
Sure.
your abilities. And so I had about a year and a half left to finish, and I was in my 30s, and it was a wild experience. I came from a different place than a lot of my fellow students,
Right.
and then there's also a lot of people there that I still, keep in contact with that were gems, and it was a great experience for sure.
It's interesting to be in college as an adult with teenagers and 20-somethings. So
Absolutely.
That's yeah. So after graduating, you had you worked various places, but you had this full circle moment for housing, whereas you start out homeless and in public housing, and then you built a home. So that leads you at some point to Revitalize Milwaukee. You worked there, or you started there at about 2005-ish, and were there almost 20 years until about 3 months ago, and you retired. So when Revitalize Milwaukee, when you first started there, my reading is that they were providing repairs for 7 houses a year.
Yeah, and barely that. We were doing a one-day activity, and back then it was we were part of a national organization called Rebuilding Together, and we went through a number of adjustments with our name, but it really the board at that time was about 38 people.
Wow.
Yeah, and there was no paid employees. Everyone was volunteer, and so I was the first employee, first executive director at that time, and I worked part-time. Well, I was paid part-time and worked full-time for 5 years. That was a lesson. And there's a lot of lessons in the journey, but I did what it took to get it off the ground, because there's not a lot of resources. We had a budget of $40,000, which was including my $20,000 salary. And everything from my home, we donated, all
Right.
of the services, and I couldn't have done it without my husband Paul. He was my right hand man, and also incredibly supportive of the work that I chose to do, because I did leave a very lucrative full time position at U.S. Bank to do this and be able to.
So are we gonna feed Paul today, because he's out in the audience?
Yes, we are.
Okay,
And
good.
I think that's the only reason he came. Actually,
All right, Paul. Paul's gonna get fed.
He is.
So I did want to note, and you talked about this. You started out part time, and you went over the budget and a lot of the issues, but you turned that into a major player here in Milwaukee. And you got to the point in 2022, the last thing I saw the number, over 300 houses a year.
Yeah.
I don't know if it got farther than less. How high did you get up?
Well, we did. I want to say 342 was the last number that, because we didn't do our documentation for the prior year, but 342 houses. And I can tell you there was one poignant moment, because I did this as a favor, really, to somebody that I knew. And I was just really more to try and, what can I do to give back, and
Right.
where's my career going to go from here? And it was really interesting, because I can remember they had a voicemail system in the cloud. I mean, this is back when.
Yeah.
But and so people would call and leave a message, and then I would call them back, and I can just remember how many times I called people back, and they would just burst into tears, because I simply called them back, never
Right.
mind helping them. And they there's the community here is incredibly resilient. They're amazing, amazing people, and they needed somebody to fight for them. And I just really felt strongly that I was that person, and I needed to figure out a way. And getting to 2024 was the hardest journey of my professional career, for many reasons, but it was so worth it. It was so worth it.
Well, I wanted to. We talked about the numbers, which is the 7 houses at 342. But talk about the mission, the actual mission of Revitalize Milwaukee and its place in our community.
Yeah. So I always, once we built our house, it was all serendipitous because we built our house. And then I went on this interview, and one of the interviews was actually going to this one-day event. And I came home, and I'll never forget it. I walked into my house, and I just burst into tears because I had this beautiful home. And again, I'm no different than anybody else. And I'm like, why do I have this and they have that? And it just didn't seem equitable or fair to me.
Sure.
And, again, these people are, worked their whole entire lives. They've grown their families. They're good people. They're, and I think there's a lot of misnomers in our community about different neighborhoods. Yeah. And the racism is beyond my palatable ability to, and so I just plow through it because I'm just like, not in my world. Right. And so the resilience of them being able to just show up and ask for help, I can tell you, when you're in your lowest moment, and I personally have gone through this recently, but when you're in lowest moments and you need to have someone help you, it is, it takes a lot of courage to ask, a lot of courage. And for not only to be able to show up every day in your home and still feed your children and still do it, and not having hot water and not having some basic needs, to be able to provide those services for somebody just so they can be treated as a normal human being, was a profound gift that I was able to not only experience but also share.
Congratulations on your retirement, I guess. I mean, I love being retired, so I get to do this.
Yeah.
People come in and they make me food. Anyway, so
you haven't eaten mine yet, so
well, I have yet to have a bad meal on this show, so I'm sure this will be no different. So talk a little bit about your family.
Yeah, so I have just a very small family. I had obviously my parents and one brother. My mom unfortunately passed away at 46 of cancer, and it was a very turbulent time. As I said, I left home at 16, never went back, and so I've been on my own since then. My father. I got to give him a lot of credit because he wasn't the best person he could be at that time. And we worked really hard on a relationship and we came out the other side. And and he passed away a few years ago, and it was really a beautiful thing for us to come full circle to the other side of it. And my brother and I, occasionally speak, but not much. But I'm, you know how families go. But my mom's family in Calgary, I still speak with a lot, and we keep.
And what about the guy up there in the audience?
That guy is the most amazing man. It's gonna make me cry talking about him. Yeah, he's pretty amazing.
I just want to say we can edit anything. So.
Yeah. The last few months have been really hard, and he's been. Well, the last 25 years, we just celebrated our 25th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yeah, on Wednesday. So he is my rock. And
happy election.
Yeah, no.
We can't say that. That's going to be a bleep.
Okay, we'll be bleep. But, it's funny because we found each other in a very non-traditional way, and I really truly believe that my grandmother, or my mom and his grandmother up there decided that this would be a fun trial to see what we can get together and what we can do. But we've built a beautiful life together, and I couldn't imagine it spending it with anyone else besides him.
Good. So. All right. So we call this serious people with serious jobs having all fun. Well, you don't have a job anymore, so. But you understand what I'm saying.
I totally get it.
People who were had serious jobs at some point. I know the people who've tried to make a difference in our community. I want to give you one of our aprons to put on, so you get your very nice clothes on. You come more nicely dressed than most people here.
Wow.
I don't want to mention any names.
Well.
Maybe I will.
I don't want to talk about it.
Caitlin Cullen. I don't want to mention any names, Caitlin Cullen. I just saw her the other day.
Did you?
Yes. So, what are we preparing today?
We are going to do some teriyaki chicken with cashew nuts and broccoli over rice.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, so we've done a little prep work. Give us a minute. We're going to go back here to the cooking area, and we're going to put everything together. And then, well, since we promised Paul that he can eat, I guess we get to eat too.
He didn't even have breakfast. He was like, I'm like,
Oh, I never eat breakfast for shows. Never. All right, give us a minute. Be right back. All right, so we're over here. We're going to make the marinade for the chicken. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. All right, so Lynnea, take it away.
all right. So I hope this is going to be really easy for everybody because I've tried it a couple times and it was lovely. So we're going to take 1/3 cup soy sauce to start with. And I kind of adjust these based on the flavor. So sometimes I like a little more, sometimes I like a little more or less. And if I'm feeling salty, then, so approximately 3/4 of a cup.
So you're going to put all the liquid ingredients in and whip them together.
Correct. And then it makes this really beautiful marinade sauce. And one of the secrets to this is to marinate the chicken in just half of it.
Okay.
And then the other half we use to finish off the sauce and make it a nice juicy broth.
Okay. So how much soy sauce are we putting in?
3/4 of a cup of soy sauce.
3/4 cup of soy sauce.
1/3 of a cup of brown sugar.
Okay. All right, so we've got,
And again, it's going to be packed, so, and brown sugar works better because it has more molasses in it and it makes it a nicer, creamier sauce.
all right, so we got some brown sugar in there with the soy sauce. And you say about 1/3 of a cup?
Yeah. And then we're going to do 2 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar.
Okay.
If you don't have rice wine vinegar and you just have white wine vinegar, you can also substitute that and it works out just fine.
Okay.
Just need my
So 2
glasses.
tablespoons of the rice wine vinegar. All right.
That aside, and then we have 2 tablespoons of honey. That would be, and this recipe can be customized to like all kinds of different flavors. If you like tofu, for example, if you prefer pork, garlic. I
Okay.
love garlic. So
And we go through one of those jars about once a month.
Do you really?
Yeah.
It says 4 cloves of garlic, but that looks like 4 cloves to me.
Looks good. All right, so we put the garlic in, and we've got,
And then we've got the sesame oil. So 2 teaspoons of that. Oh, I lied.
2 teaspoons sesame oil.
And this packs a punch, so
I love
you want
sesame
to
oil.
kind of, either you love it or you hate it. So
Yeah, because if you do too much, it overwhelms. So yes. Okay, and we've got ground ginger. You could obviously use whole ginger if you want.
of course, yeah. And then this is also one of those ones that packs a punch, and so I generally do a little bit less on this.
Okay.
You know, if you don't have, if you're cutting up ginger, for example, yourself, and you're also using fresh garlic, it can be a little chunky, so I just use a hand emulsifier.
Okay. And this is my own blend of salt, pepper, garlic, ginger.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's spice it up. And I usually do this to taste, so I just go like,
That's what most cooks do. They're just putting it in there.
I love spicy, so, and especially pepper. I think salt and pepper are one of the most undervalued spices.
All right, so we're going to
I'm just going to mix this until it kind of,
whisking it together. So make sure the sugar dissolves and the salt and pepper meld in. So we're going to use half of the marinade on the chicken, and then the other half we're going to use in the cooking.
correct, yeah.
Gotcha.
Flavors can incorporate. All right, so I'm just going to gently pour this over the chicken. All those yumminess coming together.
All right.
And then you want to let this marinate for a good 30 minutes.
Okay.
I'm going to go, yeah. And then I'm going to use this.
All righty. So we're going to let this sit, and now we're going to wait for it to marinate, and then we're going to cook everything, and we'll put it together.
Awesome. Ready to rock and roll.
All righty, here we are,
All right.
ready to put everything together. So we've got the chicken's marinated. We've got some broccoli, some cashews, and the rest of the marinade. We've got a little olive oil. And we have some rice, that instant pot rice that we made. So
I have learned over the years through trial and error is I always throw a little water on my wok before I put any oil in, because then you'll know that it's actually hot enough.
Yeah,
So you
ooh.
want to make sure that they kind of boil up and like disappear.
Right.
So just like they're doing now. So with that on there, we're going to throw a little olive oil.
Okay.
And then we're going to throw just our chicken in, real easy peasy.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a stir before I do that.
Great. Good in there. And there's some spoons and
Wonderful.
stuff over there. All right. So nice sizzle. This is what you want. And so these will cook. We want to get them all the pink out, or as much as possible. It'll continue to cook as we put in the broccoli and the cashews.
I like to do this fairly well done. Because I like I don't know about you, but I like my broccoli al dente. So a little crunchy and not too mushy. So we're going to leave this cook for just
Oh yeah, mushy is bad.
Mushy is very bad.
So, we got black and white sesame.
Makes it a little pretty.
There we go. All right.
And then, so you want to get to the point where the liquid is kind of evaporating, and then there's a little bit of a crunch on the side of the chicken. So depends on how hot your stove gets or how hot your pan is. That will take some time here.
All right. So we're looking good here. Looks like we can give another 30 seconds or so, but everything looks like it's getting cooked through.
And then once we get give us a minute or so. So we're going to add the more marinade into it. So I'm going to say...
All right, you want the juice to cook down.
Yeah. Here we go. You want to hear that sizzle.
The chicken's going to give off some liquid too.
Yeah. So I'm just going to toss in at this point the broccoli. And we're almost there. So you want to keep this...
small crown of broccoli.
And it's, for me, I try and get as much veggies as much as I can. And when this comes into play with the sauces and everything else, it's absolutely delicious with broccoli. So while that is cooking, I'm going to make a little slurry out of water and cornstarch.
Okay.
So again, this is kind of like an eyeball thing,
Right.
but I usually take a teaspoon of that, add a little water.
And this will...
So once we put the other sauce in, then it'll thicken it up.
Right.
So that we can really have a nice, emulate as much as you possibly can. Add a little more cornstarch. Oops.
Okay.
Your takeout, right? Because not only is this healthy, but it also is easy and much cheaper than going to, I think, the fast food places.
Sure.
So now the broccoli is starting to get that nice green color.
Right.
And I'm going to pour this in. So this is the rest of your marinade.
Okay.
And this is going to go on just like that.
Okay.
And then I'm going to make a little hole in the middle. Because you're probably wondering, why did you pour out some sauce and then pour back more sauce? Well, the sauce is really needing to come out so that the chicken could cook. And this sauce is going to really help the flavor onto the vegetables. And so this is going to help thicken up. And you just want to put it in the middle.
See, that's changed colors already, and it's the magic of cornstarch.
Yeah. And it's also gluten-free too. So, there's other thickeners, and there's, a lot of people use flour. But again, if you're needing...
The only thing I use flour for is turkey gravy for Thanksgiving.
Oh, there you go. So see how it nicely coats the chicken.
Yeah, and then
the broccoli.
everything, the liquid becomes a lot more thick. Hence the name thickener. I picked that up all by myself.
Did you?
Yeah.
And you were using such big words earlier too, so I'm impressed. All right, and we're almost done here. So the only thing I'm going to do now is going to toss the cashews in.
Okay.
Again, if you want to use almonds instead of cashews, anything else, you're welcome to.
I think cashews go very well because they're softer. And those are roasted and salted.
Which is yummy.
So that's, and this will be put together. All right,
Yeah,
so we're about ready. So give us a minute. We'll bring it to the table. We're going to serve with a little rice. I'll be right back. All right, here we are. So, Lynnea, tell us what we got here.
We have chicken with teriyaki sauce and broccoli with cashew nuts and 2 different kinds of sesame seeds on there, black and white sesame seeds.
Black and white sesame.
Yeah.
All right, and we got a little bit of just Instant Pot rice here.
The best way to make rice.
You are the guest, so
thank you.
I'll have you go first.
Appreciate that. Perfect. Thank you.
Paul, you have to wait till we do our thing. That's okay. Right,
I call him the cleanup crew anyhow, so.
All right, I'll get a little rice there. And I'll give you the
Thank you.
the chicken. And this came together very quickly. The longest part of it is the marinade. But it just smells amazing. You know, what's not to like? Soy sauce, sesame oil, ginger, garlic. Yum.
Yeah, it's quickly become one of our favorites. So, and it's a great meal to cook, especially if you have some time on the weekend. You can kind of prep everything, and so you can just throw it together when you get home. And even if you can marinate it, a minimum I would say 30 minutes, but you can certainly marinate it overnight.
Okay. All right. So napkin in your lap.
Yes.
So even though my wife's not here, I will do that. She would ask me, "Where's your napkin?"
Yes.
And so we have silver implements and chopsticks. So I'm going to use chopsticks. I think you're going to use chopsticks too.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Let's give her a taste.
I'll let you go first.
Yummy. Those sauces is great. I see what you mean about the sweetness, because there's a little sweet in there. I think if you put more honey in, might add more brown sugar. Might be a little bit too much. But
Yeah. I generally, whenever I make anything, I cut the sugar down and the honey.
Smart.
I really find I don't miss it at all.
One of the things I put in almost everything, besides garlic, is onions.
Yeah.
But that again will make it sweet. Yummy, yummy.
I'm glad you like that.
Oh, I hope so, because it literally is going to be my lunch. This is my breakfast. And a little bit later, after I clean up, it will be lunch.
Do you have a favorite meal?
Well, I'd eat pasta 7 days a week if I could. But no. I eat everything. I like all ethnicities. I like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I was going to say, before you take another bite, but you just did. Thanks so much for coming.
My pleasure.
It was
It's
great.
really been here.
Yeah,
Fun.
it was great to see you. This amazing meal, as I told you, I've yet to have a bad meal on this show. The food always works out. People worry about the food. I said, I don't worry about the food. I'm more interested in the story that's told, and your story, as I pointed out, both unique, but not different from a lot of people's overcoming a lot of adversity and a lot of issues and challenges in their lives. So appreciate all your work, and please enjoy your retirement. Now, did you tell me at some point you were thinking about or wanted to move to Italy?
Yeah, we're looking at. We really love immersing ourselves in culture, and Italy is one of our favorite places for the quality of life they have there. And then, but we're still not finished traveling around to kind of make sure. So that's one of our passions is traveling, but Italy is definitely on our list.
We can talk about that because we just obviously got back. So thanks so much
My
for
pleasure.
taking the time to watch. I appreciate everyone's support. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders. Thanks for listening to another episode of Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders. Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders is brought to you by Cooking Secrets for Men, LLC, and was recorded in the 3rd Ward in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We feature and profile community leaders who are trying to make Milwaukee a better place. The tagline is, serious people with serious jobs having a little fun. Our guests choose the recipes that we use on the show. All of our podcasts are available on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get great podcasts. The original YouTube video for this episode is available on our YouTube channel, Cooking Secrets for Men, all rights reserved. Thanks, and see you next time on Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders.